A very warm welcome, dear children. And again, here we are continuing with the lesson Morphology of Flowering Plants. And in the previous class, we talked about the uh, floral diagrams and the floral formula. As per the revised syllabus, we have only two families to study for this particular session, that is family Solanaceae and family Liliaceae. Right, so we will be studying only the two families, family Solanaceae and family Liliaceae. Right, so these are the two families that are there in the syllabus. And since we've already talked about the basic characters or the symbols that are used to make the floral formula, to write the floral formula, so now we will just finish off with the two families, studying the various characteristics. So starting with the first family, that is family Solanaceae, it says here, it is a large family commonly called as the potato family. Now why it is called the potato family is because there are many vegetables here, and basically potato, which is one vegetable which is liked by everyone, belongs to this particular family. So that is why this is referred to as the potato family. It is widely distributed. Widely distributed means it is found in the tropics, in the subtropics, and even in temperate zones. Right, so in different areas, in different environmental conditions, this particular family is found, and so it is widely distributed. Coming to the vegetative characters, now again when we talk about the vegetative characters, what do we refer to as the vegetative characters? The vegetative characters, we talk about the roots, we talk about the shoot, in the shoot we talk about the stem, we talk about the leaves. Right, so these are the parts of the vegetative parts of the plant, and here of course this also includes all the modifications. Right, so we also discussed the different modifications when we talk about the vegetative characters. So in the vegetative characters we will briefly discuss that what type of roots the plant this family has, what type of stem this family has, what are the types of leaves that they have, and if there is any kind of modification, then what is the modification. So this we will talk about in the vegetative characters. So coming to the vegetative characters, it says here, the plants found in this family are mostly herbs, they are shrubs, and rarely small trees. What are herbs? Herbs are plants with soft stem, not very great in height. Right? Shrubs, they have woody stem. Trees, everybody knows, right? They are, the trees are taller, they have broader stem, which is known as the trunk. Right? So rarely there are small trees, and that means we can say that mostly the family Solanaceae are either herbs or they are shrubs. Right? We come to the next, that is the stem. Stem is herbaceous. Now see again here. Stem is herbaceous. Herbaceous means the stem is generally soft, rarely woody. That means very rarely. We said that plants are mostly herbs, the first thing. Then they are shrubs. Right? Shrub means woody stem. So there are a few shrubs in family Solanaceae, but mostly the stems are herbaceous. Right? Then we see the next characteristic is that they are aerial. Aerial means the stem is above the soil, that is aerial. The stem is erect. The stem is cylindrical like this, right? And it is branched, right? The stem is solid, right? So the stem is solid. That means it is not, had it been empty from inside, then the stem would be a weak stem, right? So a weak stem generally tends to wind around a support, right? Wind around a support. So that is a weak stem, but here we see that the stem is solid, right? Here you can see the diagrams of Solanaceae, that is Solanum nigrum. It shows here Makoi plant, right? So you can see how the plant is. This is a herb, right? You can see the kind of leaves it has. Then you can see the stem, right? What kind of flowers it has, etc. You can see all these parts of a flower. The flowering twig, that was the first one. The B part is the flower. C is the longitudinal section of the flower, and then you can see the stamens. Here these are the stamens. This is the carpel that is there, right? And again you can see here the floral diagram of this particular family, right? So we will continue with the stem, right? So it also says here that there are certain stems which may be hollow, right? Some stems may be hairy, means small hair-like structures may be there on the stem, whereas some may be glabrous. Glabrous means no hair. So they are not hairy, glabrous, right? No hair. Then we also find that there are some underground stem in potato, right? We just now in the beginning read that stem is aerial. That means there are certain plants belonging to this family which have an aerial stem above, like in Makoi, here in this plant, Solanum nigrum. And then there are certain stem modifications. One example is the underground stem in potato, that is Solanum tuberosum. Please, you need to learn these names nicely. Solanum tuberosum, that is potato, right? So potato is an example of an underground modification of stem, and Solanum nigrum shows aerial stem, right? The stem is aerial, and here in potato it is underground. We come to the next character, that is leaves. Leaves are alternate, right? I showed you yesterday. Leaves are alternate, right? They are simple. We studied a simple leaf, right? Rarely pinnately compound, right? Rarely pinnately compound means like if you look at a neem leaf, what is a compound leaf? A compound leaf has the main axis, right? And the whole leaf is divided into tiny leaflets, right? So this kind of a diagram, a leaf, is a pinnately compound leaf, right? Having the main axis and the leaflets around. This is pinnately compound. So rarely pinnately compound means, again, there are some examples here belonging to this family which show pinnately compound leaves, right? Then it says here leaves are exstipulate. Exstipulate means a leaf may have a tiny thorn-like structure present, which is a stipule, right? That is a stipule. Now if this stipule is not present, if it is absent, right, then we say that the leaf is exstipulate. That means it does not have that stipule present. Then venation is reticulate. You've already studied. If I draw a leaf with a net-like venation midrib, these are the veins, right, which further you can say divide and form a network, right? So this network is reticulate, means net-like. Reticulate venation. That means all the leaves that belong to this family show reticulate venation. That means all are taproot also then. Right? Now we come to the floral characters. Inflorescence. What is inflorescence? Arrangement of flowers on the stem. Right? So, in what way are the flowers arranged on the stem is known as inflorescence. Right? So, solitary means single. Right? Axillary or cymose means the flower is at the tip of the stem, that is axillary or cymose, and once the flower is present on the tip of the stem, then the growth is also limited. Right? So the example is given in Solanum. It shows cymose kind of arrangement. Right? Then the flower is bisexual. Bisexual, you remember we show it like this. Bisexual means both the androecium as well as the gynoecium is present. The flower is actinomorphic. Actinomorphic means it can be divided into two equal parts through any plane passing through the center. That is actinomorphic. Then we come to the calyx. It says here calyx are sepals and calyx are represented by an alphabet capital K. Right? They are 5 in number. They are united. Right? They are persistent means throughout life they exist, and they show valvate estivation. Valvate estivation means marginal. Right? The sepals are attached to one to another sepal. The margins touch each other, they don't overlap each other. That is valvate estivation. Then we come to corolla. Corolla are the petals, right, represented by a capital C. Petals are 5 in number. The petals are also united, right, and they also show valvate estivation. We come to androecium. Androecium is represented by a capital A. Then it says here stamens are 5 and androecium. The stamens are 5 in number. And then it also says it is epipetalous. Epipetalous means petalous corolla. It is joined to the corolla. We show it by putting an arc touching A and C. Right? So that is epipetalous. Then comes the gynoecium. The gynoecium is represented by an alphabet capital G. It shows here it is bicarpellary, right? Syncarpous means it is fused. Bicarpellary, syncarpous, right? Ovary is superior. It is bilocular means ovary has 2 locules. The placenta is swollen with many ovules. Right? What is the fruit type? It is either a berry or it may be in the form of a capsule. Right? Seeds, there are many seeds, and endospermous means endosperm. The seed possesses endosperm. Right? That is the nutrient material. Now we look at the floral formula. But the floral formula we can say that the plants belonging to family Solanaceae are actinomorphic. Right? They are bisexual. Right? Calyx is 5 and it is fused. Right? Similarly, corolla is 5 and fused. Androecium is 5 and it is epipetalous. Right? Gynoecium is bicarpellary. 2 carpels are present and both the carpels are fused. Right? And with this line underneath, that is G, like this with a bar below, shows that the ovary is superior. So by just this simple formula you can explain all these things. Right? So when you are preparing for the exam, First of all, you need to be very clear with all these symbols. Once you are clear with those symbols, you just learn the floral formula even for your practicals. And once you learn the floral formula and you are asked to explain in brief, you will be able to explain very nicely with the help of this floral formula. So that is very, very important. Let's quickly see what is the economic importance of this family. Many plants belonging to this family are a source of food. We eat tomatoes, we eat brinjal, we eat potatoes, we add chili to our food to make it spicy, right? So they are the source of food. Then some of them are used as medicine like belladonna, ashwagandha, right? Some have fumigatory properties like tobacco, and some are ornamentals like petunia. Petunia is a flower, an ornamental flower. Ornamental means to add to the beauty. Next we come to family Liliaceae, and they are commonly called the lily family, right? They commonly called the lily family. That means here all the lilies belong to this family, all the lilies, right? Lily, what is lily? Lily is a flower, right? So all the lily belongs to this family. It is a characteristic representative of monocotyledonous plants, right? Monocots, you remember, you've studied monocots and dicots previously, right? Having a single cotyledon with parallel venation, leaves with parallel venation, and roots are adventitious. This is one common, three common characteristics of a monocotyledonous plant, right? It is distributed worldwide, means everywhere. Let's quickly go through the characteristics. Vegetative characters, they're perennial herbs. We know what are herbs. Perennial, that may live for 2 years or so, right? And herbs we know with soft stem. With underground bulbs, that means they are either in the form of a bulb like the onion, or in the form of corm or rhizomes. Right now, bulb, corm and rhizomes you studied as underground modifications in the lower classes. Right now, these rhizomes are also they are also the modified stem. Right, modified stem. So that is also an example. Leaves are mostly basal. If you look at the diagram here, it arises from the base. The leaves are arising from the base. What we studied earlier, leaves are alternate, right? Like this. And where the leaves arise from the base. So leaves are basal. This is an example of basal leaves, right? Then it says here, they may be alternate also, right? Alternate, I've already explained. They are linear. If you look at the shape of the leaves are thin, right? They are linear. Exstipulate means without stipules, and they show parallel venation. That is one characteristic. This venation is a characteristic of all monocot plants, right? Floral characters. Inflorescence is solitary, one single flower, right? Then it is cymose, you see at the tip, right? Often in umbellate clusters. Now what is this umbellate clusters? The main axis is short, the main axis of the flower is short, right, and bears many branches, right, like this. So that is umbellate clusters. Then if we talk about the flower, basically they are bisexual, right, having both the sexes in one flower, and again they are actinomorphic, which is one common characteristic in family Solanaceae and in family Liliaceae. Even inflorescence is common and flower is also common. Next we see that the calyx and the corolla, they are fused, and if they are fused, that is known as perianth, which is represented by a capital P. This is also known as tepals, right? Fusion of petals and sepals are tepals, right? So what we see here is that the perianth or the tepal is 6 in number, found in 2 bundles of 3 plus 3, right? They are often united. So they are shown in a bracket, right? And they are united to form a tube, right? So they form a tube-like structure. Valvate estivation is seen. Androecium is again, there are 6 stamens, and again here the stamens are in bundles of 2, 3 plus 3, but they are not united, right? Then they are epipetalous. Epipetalous means they are again attached to the perianth. Here in fact it should be epiphyllous, right? Whenever the androecium is attached to the perianth, then we use the term epiphyllous instead of epipetalous, which we did yesterday. Gynoecium is tricarpellary, means there are 3 carpels. Again they are syncarpous, fused. Ovary is superior, so we would show it a superior ovary, right? The ovary is trilocular. There are 3 chambers with many ovules, and they show axile placentation. Placentation is actually the arrangement of ovules in the ovary, and when the ovules are arranged around a center point, then we say that the placentation is axile, right? Fruit is capsule, and rarely it is berry. Seed is full of nutrients, endospermous. And if we now look at the floral formula here, it is bracteate. That means bracts are present, right? You'll see bracts being present over there. So it is bracteate, it is actinomorphic, bisexual. You can see here the calyx and the corolla fuse to form the perianth, right? The fused calyx and corolla is known as the perianth, which is found in the bundle, in 2 bundles of 3 plus 3, and they are all united. Androecium is also in 2 bundles of 3 plus 3. Androecium is attached to the perianth, so it is epiphyllous. And gynoecium is 3 in number, right? And ovary is superior, and what they have not mentioned in your book is that ovary is superior, 3 a line below the ovary. So what you will do in your textbooks, this is a page of your textbook only, you will just beneath G you will put a bar, right? So that will make it ovary superior, right? So it is tricarpellary, syncarpous, that they've already shown. They have shown tricarpellary. Syncarpous means they are fused, and you will put a bar below to show superior ovary, right? Coming to the economic importance, many plants belonging to this family are good ornamentals. Ornamentals means used for beauty, right? So when we grow flowers in the garden, right, the flowers add beauty. Now if we look at the floral diagram, in the floral diagram here you can see the mother axis, right? Then you can see how the tepals are there, right? They are all fused, right? And then you can see the androecium that is present over here. There are 6 androecium, 6 stamens that are there. And if you look at this line over here, everywhere to the androecium is being attached here to the tepals, right? So this is showing an epiphyllous condition, right? The arc that you drew here, P and A, you've drawn an arc over here. This arc is represented by these lines, right? So that is showing that the androecium is attached to the perianth, which is epiphyllous condition, right? So that's about it for today's class. Please do complete all the assignments that are given and post it on the WhatsApp group and continue preparing for the exams so that you do well. Thank you.